people who look like me, I think will be in a minority. In terms of people who've been born and raised, it will be a minority. It may be in terms of some immigrants coming over, but yeah, the way we're going, I mean, it's 50%. It's 50% on average. And like you said, how can the people survive if that's what they're doing? You know, and I just think to myself, well, it's not a matter of you're being racist. It's about self-preservation.
Yeah, I mean, they tell you that preserving yourself is being racist. Like we're running around lynching white people or something like that. So saying black first is that's being racist. So going around trying to degrade and demean and execute other people, that is racist. You just being you and saying black first, there's nothing racist or even racial about it. You are simply stating a fact of life.
Yes, absolutely.
And can you believe people hate us for that? We got black people who hate us for that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I'd be universally hated. You know, the fact of the matter is, we're not at a point where we can pretend anymore. We're not. We're way beyond that point. You know.
You know, over here in America, our fathers and mothers of the civil rights generation, they sold us out. In Britain, you all don't. It's amazing. You don't even have anybody to blame. I mean, nobody's. It's like you got sold out, but sold out by who? You know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all you had here, you had a couple, you know, obviously, you know, because there's, you know, the whole thing about police brutality. Here in this country, 1,000 people, since, I think, 1969, and obviously, Britain is a small country, you know, 1,000 people have been killed, at least over 1,000, actually, have been killed since 1969 in this country by police.
And has a single cop ever done a day of time?
I don't think they have, actually, no.
And neither in the United States. We got them on videotape shooting people in the back. I played it on my website. We got them over and over and over again shooting people in the back, and not one of them's ever done a day of time.
No, one of them done a day of time. Well, I would say this: at least they got shot, because in the UK they tend to just beat you to death. You know, it's batons, it's hands, it's whatever. You know, it's not even. It's a very painful death. There's a documentary called Injustice, which was made in 2001, and I'd recommend that you check it out, about the police brutality against you know, majority black, and actually they've even started doing it to some poor whites now.
Yeah, but it always starts there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been going on for a long time.
This is what white people don't understand, because we are always the testing ground. We're always the guinea pig. If the power structure can get away with whatever it's doing to us, you've normalized it. And then they just take a white person over here and give you a subprime loan, and a white person over there and give you a subprime loan, and this one and another one. And next thing you know, you wake up one day and 50% of you have been given subprime loans. You know, the loans that only niggas used to be having put on them. And then you're like, well, how did this happen? This never should have been legal. And you let them do it to us for a century. Black people didn't call them subprime loans. We called them our mortgages.
Yep, exactly. Because that was the only way you could get them.
And that once it happens to white people, then it's a national crisis. It was happening to black people, and shut up, it's just your mortgage. You shouldn't have signed up for it. Exactly.
So when black people were getting killed by the dozen, you know, in the 80s and 90s by the police, it was like, oh, he was big and aggressive, or, oh, you know, they were aggressive, and, you know, he was out of control, you know. And you hear the family like, well, he was a really, really peaceful guy. You know, he's just going out with his friends and he got stopped by the police, and that was the last we heard of it.
You know, it's like with Maurice Clemens, and we do not know if Maurice Clemens was actually responsible for anything. Yeah. But what they say about him, I mean, before they even released a description or anything, a composite sketch or anything, what did they say? It was a scruffy-looking black male. Yeah. I mean, that was the term that they used on MSNBC, on CNN, everywhere, a scruffy-looking black male. And you looked at this guy, it looked like he hadn't shaved in a couple of days. It didn't look like he hadn't shaved in a couple of months. just a couple of days, but that was enough. Scruffy looking black male. And don't people understand that this is the reality? To sit up here and say that, oh, the bigots in white society, well, that's just them. This is a lie that blacks in Britain, that blacks in the Virgin Islands, that blacks in America, that blacks in Canada, that blacks in South America. Well, you get the point. This is a lie that we have told ourselves about these people for half a millennium, that no, the bigot isn't the rule. It's just them over there or them over there. And we keep regurgitating it over and over. And don't you see, it's right below the surface. It's right below the facade. And what that professor said about O.J. Simpson on the HBO O.J. Simpson 10 years later thing, about it, you can snuggle up to him all you want to, you can integrate all you want to, you can kiss on the women all you want to, but at the end of the day, they just don't like your black ass. And I hope Tony Blair is listening right now. And at the end of the day, they just don't like your black ass. And it's just that simple.
Yeah, I'm afraid, history speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Unfortunately, I'm afraid that history may be predicting the future. And that's what I'm afraid of. Look at the Aborigines. Look at the Native Americans of America. If you don't believe that a people can be pushed into extinction, take a look at that movie Apocalypto.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Well, it already happened to our brothers and sisters in Tasmania. That's the one place where it's been complete extinction.
It got wiped out.
Yes, completely. And you know what, Timothy, I'm so glad to hear you. I need, as you know, from queen to queen, I need to hear this, because I've always stressed that it's not just us in America, and people don't believe that we are the ones they look up to. People don't think about it. We think we are the ones that have it bad, but people are not aware that we have people like you, sisters like you, that are willing to call and let us know, like, look, you guys, we're looking for you. We're looking at you. And people don't realize that. And I think that's very, very important. So I commend you. You know, I hear you saying you're tired of it. Yeah, a lot of people see it, but they don't want to see it. And I commend you for all you're doing. And
I'm a professional woman, you know, all that stuff. And the thing about it is, when the higher up in the profession that you get, the more you're expected just to forget about it and to ignore what's going on and to ignore what's happening to people and just, you're doing all right. So, what's the problem? I can't do that, man. I can't do that. It's not just it's everywhere around the world. You look around. I've been in communication with somebody, a guy from Peru, who's involved in who's got an organisation which helps basically people of African descent living in Peru. They are totally oppressed. When he was describing what they are going through, this was basically what was going through, what black people were going through, after slavery. And this is in the 21st century. They're totally shut out of all the, the things that we take for granted even.
Well, I'm afraid that we won't have a lot more to take for granted.
Yeah, it was to the point. Exactly. In fact, we deserve everything we bloody get. Don't get me wrong on that one. But even the things that we have, they think it's something like they couldn't even imagine it. It's this bad. They're so oppressed that they actually think Brazil is progressive.
Wow. Yeah. And these are people who don't know. They haven't learned. They don't know. And we had SETI on. If you haven't seen our broadcast with SETI.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah,
did you hear what he said? That I don't debate people who haven't been to Africa. He said, I teach other people. He said, I don't debate someone because you cannot debate what you yourself have not seen. You're talking about South America as if, oh, everything's okay and everything's equal down there. Wait a minute, nigga, do you know anybody from South America? Have you been there? Have you seen how they treat Africans in South America? And this is why we have to define ourselves that first. Dr. Clark said, when you ask an Italian what he is, he doesn't say I'm Italian American. He says I am Italian. His Americanness is a given. You are not an African American. And you are not an African Briton. You are an African in Britain. You are an African in America. You're an African in South America. And we speak many different languages and speak the many different accents of our oppressors and our captors. But we are still Africans.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're a black man or a black woman, you're an African. That's as simple as that. Peter Tosh said it. You're an African.
And it doesn't matter where you are. You're on the other side of the world, and you're just like us. And you're not alone. There are not as many of you as we would like. But you're not alone, sister. And I'm so glad that you accepted my invitation to give us a call, because we wanted to tell you that you're not alone.
Thank you very much.
That little voice that's been nagging you in the back of your head and saying, it's just me. I'm like the invasion of the body snatchers. I'm the only person who can see that all the people are not real. No, sister, you are not the only person who can see it. All of us can see it too.
All around the world. It's the same stuff that's going on, sister. The same thing that's happened from Iraq to Egypt to anywhere you want to look in the world. And what are we supposed to be happy with that?
Some are. Some were just born to pick